Hello, Kardec Radio listeners and viewers. This is Harvest of Light at 11 p.m. What a joy. A book that was written by the spirit author Emmanuel through Chico, Xavier in 1972, 46 years ago. This book comes to us as new strength to prepare us for better outcomes inside and out. We are in the school of life and we need strength, illumination to walk steadily towards the goal, no longer losing ourselves in the pathway of life. You know, it's funny when we practice spirituality, religiousness, we talk about light, illumination, enlightenment, and the question is, why do we need light? Well, because without light, there's darkness. And when there is darkness, next step. So we need light. Light is important. Where there is light, there is no darkness. Where there is goodness, there is no evil. Right? So in that search of light, in that request for divine illumination, we are here in the harvest of light, gathering, collecting elements, tools to be more nourished, stronger, and better at understanding the path. So we no longer are going to be hesitant of the next step to take, right? So the good spirits kindly bring to us, they share with us, it's so much compassion that we owe to them the deepest gratitude. Today is the International Day of Suicide Prevention. And we keep thinking, what would be of our lives if we didn't have this message? This message, we owe our lives to this message, the Spiritist message, because it gives us new meaning. It keeps helping us to discern what to feel, what to think, what to say, and what to do. It's about boosting our spiritual intelligence. Who knew we had spiritual intelligence? Spiritism is the best school to boost our spiritual intelligence, if and only if we devote ourselves to studying, and if we are open to the new. Are we open to the new? Right? So I see friends coming in. Welcome, welcome, dear souls. Now you're here. Let us grow. Andrea Torres, how are you? Katia Yushka, how are you? Rihanna, how are you? Teresa Castro. And Patrícia Cardoso, how are you? So beautiful, so. Dulce, how are you, Dulce? Nora Brazil, Rudy's present in the present, making it pleasant. Am I missing anybody here? Mamma mia, everybody is here. Now I can double check and see it. Right, Daisy is here with us. Elsie is here. Ta-da!
Hello, friends.
Carol Correa. It's her birthday. Yay! Still her birthday. Happy birthday to you, Carol. And the birthday of Valéria Benfica too, who is often here with us at Kardec Radio. Joan da Rosa is here, and we are going to transform these blessings in blessings to everybody who has reincarnated on this special day, September the 10th. Mamma mia, it's new life. Talking about new life, Emmanuel in chapter 40. We are only 25 days away from wrapping up this book. Wow, it's 40 nights. Wow, how magical, huh? 40 nights together forever. Right, Carol?
Right.
Joyce Magalhães is here. Today, as a gift to all those who have their birthday, we're going to talk about duties. We think of rights and gifts, and the good spirits say, I'm going to give you a gift, the gift of your duty. Yeah. Right, Karen?
Right, that's the best gift.
All right. So Emmanuel is going to quote from Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7. Now to each one the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. Emmanuel explains, each individuality finds in reincarnation a framework of potential values of work, analogous to those that the person receives when they are favored by a particular position. Just as the worker is indicated to integrate the nominative table of a certain division with specific attributions, also when we go to the physical spheres, we receive similar designation. We are as if appointed to serve in a certain sector of activity and consequently placed in the team of family members and companions that enable us to perform the task. But if the position is obtained by concession or order from the higher plane, the use of the duty depends on the interest in developing or consolidating their own merits. In face of this, we must consider that we all possess the talent of investing in the building of the good, wherever we are. Nobody is orphan of opportunities. Everywhere there is service to provide and the best thing to do. Look around you and you will hear multiple calls to the work of general progress. No one is deprived of the opportunity to help others, to elevate, to comfort, to instruct, and to renew them. Do not deter yourself. The protection of the Lord is granted to every human being for the benefit of all. Consider the indication you received to serve according to the possibilities that enrich your heart and hands. The position comes to the sphere of action by the effect of divine providence, but the value of the duties comes from us. How empowering. Let's go back to the inspiration that guided Emmanuel to bring this lesson to us. It was from Paul when he wrote the epistle on chapter 12, 1 Corinthians. What is that about? Chapter 12, part of it is about spiritual gifts. He says, now about the gifts of the Spirit, brothers and sisters, I do not want you to be uninformed. You know that when you were pagans, somehow or other, you were influenced and led astray to mute idols. Therefore, I want you to know that no one who is speaking by the Spirit of God says, Jesus be cursed, or no one can say Jesus is Lord, etc. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in every one, it is the same God at work. Now, to each one, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. To one, there is given through the Spirit a message of wisdom, to another a message of knowledge by means of the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by one Spirit, to another miraculous powers, etc., etc. So, put a pause here. I'm going to ask you this question to you and I. Are we pagans? But what does it mean to be pagan? Huh? Sometimes we say, no, I believe in one God, and I have my focus on a specific religion or spirituality. But then at the end of the day, I believe in 10,000 things. I believe in luck, as if it were God. There are people who say, I believe in God, but they believe in luck. Does luck exist? According to Spiritism, it doesn't. No. Everything is action and reaction. We attract what we emit, says André Luiz in the book Mechanisms of Mediumship, Mecanismos da Mediunidade. He says to us, the law of the mental field. There is a law. I will attract what I emit. So there's no luck, and there's no curse. Either one, they don't exist. There is an effect to a cause. So, at the end of the day, some of us behave like pagans, who still split ourselves in the belief of 10,000 gods in our daily lives. But Jesus came to unify us and say, I gravitate and make my life rotate around the one God, loving, kind, merciful, just, good, immutable. But Vanessa, then I needed to pray for XYZ spirits. But you know, if I pray for X spirit, they will only take action if there is permission from God. But God is not a being like a human being or a spiritual being. It's the supreme intelligence of the universe. First cause of all things, I don't get it. It's okay, but you feel it. And everything is subjected to this force that we can't explain better than the spirits did. So we no longer are splitted, divided. Jesus came to unify our souls. And Paul is explaining this to us. The talents of yours, mine, Carol's, anyone's, they come from the same God. Yesterday, when we were studying about personal commitment in chapter 39, Emmanuel, at the last paragraph, he said, intelligence, health, courage, discernment comes from God. What comes from us? The decision, the willingness to use it wisely. For the good of all, says Paul of Tarsus. So we don't need to compare ourselves to others anymore. We don't need to feel envy. We don't need to feel less or more, because everything comes from the same source. God. And he says to us, each person reincarnates with a set of works to be worked upon. But then you doubt. We hesitate. We're like, but me? Why me? Oh my gosh. And then I say, well, Divaldo Franco created the Mansion of the Way. And then people keep thinking, one day I will create something. Life goes by, nothing was created. There are people who buy books of millionaires, billionaires. They read it, how to become a billionaire. And they think that if they do the same steps, they're going to achieve the same result. I said this before and will repeat. There are people who say, oh, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and others who are now billionaires, they started their things in a garage, so we better start something new in our garage too. So if you don't have a garage, you're never going to become a billionaire. Isn't that funny, Carol?
Yes, it is. I'm already laughing here.
Right?
Right?
Isn't that funny?
That is illogical, actually. Yes.
Right? Illogical.
Yes. And God granted us the discernment exactly to literally make sense of things. And so if we use our intelligence, which is a gift from God, discernment, which is a gift from God, we learn that a simple situational difference won't make that much of a change in our lives.
Right.
As we learned from thought and life, what makes the most difference is how we feel, our vibration and our thought, and our willingness to follow our reincarnatory plan and fulfill our duties.
Exactly. So, as Gary is saying very clearly, it's about reasoning. Kardec said, we need to reason our faith. Let's reason it. Think. Exercise. Gym of the brain. And that's figurative, of course, because everything is in the mind of the spirit, in our minds. So, he says here, no one is orphan of opportunity. But Vanessa, where do I begin? With you. With us. And then in our home, in our neighborhood, in our community, in our work. And we go from there. We don't begin elsewhere. He says here, everywhere there is service to provide and the best thing to do. Oh, but there is fraternity without borders. I agree. Now we are interconnected globally. We can easily cooperate by going to fraternityWithoutBorders.org and donating, sponsoring a child, or planning your vacation as a service vacation in Africa or in Brazil or other locations. But is that the only place you can serve? No. Did you forget your community? And as we're spiritists, in our spiritist centers, if you help all the organizations of the world, but you don't help your spiritist center financially, if you don't help your spiritist center with your service, it may close its doors, and then you don't have a community anymore. I'll never forget, Chico Xavier wrote a letter, and I have the letter, a copy of the letter with me. He wrote to Haddad, who opened the first Spiritist center in the United States, North Carolina, with Chico Xavier, in Allen College. And he said, Haddad, do not send money to people in Brazil, because Spiritists in Brazil are supposed to help the Spiritists in the United States. At a time in which Spiritism was not as voluminous as it is nowadays. The Spiritist movement in Brazil is much wealthier, richer than anywhere in the world. And Chico Xavier wisely recommended it to Haddad. If we don't start helping the Spiritist Center where we are, it's going to close its doors. And we're saying this to everyone in the world, wherever you are, even if you are in Brazil or anywhere in the world. So we enter, the first place we give back is to the place we're living in. If I give back to others and I don't give the fruits where I am rooted in, if you were transplanted like an immigrant to another soil, your roots are there. You need to give back where you are, not elsewhere. You can, but primarily where you are. And he says, look around you. This is Emmanuel. Look around you, and you will hear multiple calls to the work of general progress. You know, today is the International Day of Suicide Prevention, and I remember years ago we interviewed the man who created the hotline 1-800-SUICIDE in the United States. And he said he started it because his wife committed suicide. He couldn't believe it. And that's exactly what Emmanuel is saying. No one is orphan of opportunity. Look around and you will hear multiple calls to the work of general progress. We need to help where we are. There are many people around us in need of help, and we are searching for people elsewhere. I know people who told me, Vanessa, one day I am going to retire and start a foundation in another continent. But why? Do you know people? No, but I will. It doesn't make any sense. This is the blah, blah, blah of the spirits who don't like us. They create these illusions like a mirage saying, tomorrow, 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 and they create a big plane. It's an illusion. And then tomorrow never comes. And then we discarnate empty-handed. No accomplishment to the benefit of all. No wonder depression is escalating. Anxiety is escalating because we forget that our lives shall be a harvest of light. Today, not tomorrow, right, Carol?
Today, right now.
Right now,
Yes.
the power of now.
Yes.
So Carol is reminding us the power of now. The power of now. Right,
With
Carol?
our thoughts, we can be
There you go.
charitable right now. Even when we are asleep, we can also be charitable. We can literally be charitable 24/7. The mentors tonight at the Spiritual Society of Virginia shared with us all that there will be a time when we will be so fraternal towards one another, where we will forget about our needs and we will constantly think of others, because we will have the certainty that God shall provide no matter the circumstance. So we can start practicing by training our minds
Exactly.
in the now.
In the now. So, as Carrie is reminding us, in the book In the Realms of Mediumship by, let me say before, Carol talked about thoughts. Emmanuel, in the Living Spring, lesson 69, He says firmness and perseverance. And he says something quite unique in the last paragraph. Let us use our emotions to help others. Because emotions are the byproduct of vibrations. So pick a happy emotion and invest on it. Right?
Harvest it.
Harvest.
Yes.
Right? Harvest it. So, in the tree of emotions, which emotion do you want to harvest in the next 24 hours to help people with the vibrations that it will emit? Pick one. Pick one, Karen.
Serenity.
Serenity. And you guys, which emotion do you want to harvest? And work on it to share in its vibrations. As Emmanuel says, use emotions to help others. We never thought about this. We think emotion is only us, for us, but it's not. So we can pick one and say, I want joy. And visualize wherever I go a little happy ball just jumping up and down, and wherever it touches, ping, ping, and then we
It works.
smile.
It works. It's working.
It's working.
Yeah.
It's working. Ping, 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 ping on everybody's head, and like everybody's smiling. And then we smile. Everybody smiles. Right? We are seeing here, everybody smiling. So he says, do not deter yourself. Alta de Souza, the spirit who came and brought several poems to Chico Xavier, through Chico Xavier, she says, não te detenhas, levanta, segue e ajuda. Do not deter yourself. Stand up. Help and serve. Dulce is saying, the need of our work is so in demand. Okay, you did it. Great, Dulce. Adilson said he's speaking joy. So is saying peace. Rihanna says understanding. We need to work where we are planted first. John Bosco is here with us as well. Thank you. So friends, in the next 24 hours, let us pick one emotion and use it, as Emmanuel says, to bring the benefit of its emissions to all. It becomes like an antidote to the hardships. And he says, the protection of the Lord is granted to everybody for the benefit of all. But you and I need to value what we receive from God. God gives it to us, but we need to value. If you're good at drawing, if you're good at writing, if you're good at speaking, if you're good at hugging, if you're good at whatever it is, but you don't use it, what God can do? What can God do? He already gave it to you. There's nothing more sad than when you give a gift to a child and they don't play with it. But aren't you going to play with it? No. Later. And they never do. There's nothing worse than when you give a gift to somebody they never use. You know, I know people, they keep that specific towel, that specific thing for a special day. The special day never comes. And you think that day you're visiting them is the special day, but that day is not the special day. And I'm like, man, you're gonna die and think it's unused. So
maybe that will be the special day.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad.
Yeah,
they can't see it.
Yeah.
So God gave you gifts. Multiply it by using it. Okay? Do not hide it out of fear. Trust. Trust in yourself. Value the gifts. Share the joy. Share the things you have already acquired. Right, Renata? And we will be happier by making people happier too. Emmanuel is fantastic. Isn't he? What a teacher. Oh, Emmanuel. Oh, Emmanuel.
Ode to Emmanuel.
Yeah, ode to Emmanuel. A poem to Emmanuel. Oh, Emmanuel.
Oh, Emmanuel, you are light in the cry.
We're so grateful and so grateful that we commit
To joy.
and much more. Right? Thank you, friends, for the birthday wishes to Carol
Thank you.
and to Valéria Benfica.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if God allows, we will be back. And we're going to talk about resources. If we think we're empty-handed, Emmanuel is going, as a good teacher, he's like, repetition, 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 until we say, got it. I know I'm talented. Got it. Thank you, Emmanuel. I'll do it. Please don't keep your talents to yourself. The world needs you. We need one another. Right?
Right.
We need a CD. Thank you, Dulce. You're so kind to us.
Truly.
Right? Daniela Souza is with us as well. Thank you, Adilson and Dulce friends. We're a wonderful class at 11 p.m.
For sure.
Right? Tomorrow, allowed to be back, we'll have what we call resources. Now he quotes from Luke, the physician who reported on Jesus. Chapter 12, verse 15, he says, be careful. Be careful of your greed. The life of a person does not consist of the abundance that they have. So is he going to talk about what kind of resources? Oh, he says to us that there is the bank of life. Whoa. And the wallet of spontaneous
Supply.
supply.
Wow.
What kind of wallet is this? Michael Kors? Coach? No! Where is this wallet of spontaneous supply? In the bank of life. So tomorrow is about economics of life. If you want to know and be granted access to the bank of life and to this so-called wallet of spontaneous supply, come back and we'll be here singing and dancing and pointing to the treasure. It's going to be treasure hunt. A big hug to you, a lot of joy. Share the best of you wherever you are.